Hey everybody, it's a big day from B105, and well, here we are into December and November. Well, it was National Adoption Month, and that's why we're sitting down to chat today with the director of DCCH, Bob Wilson. Good morning, Bob.
Morning.
And also Ron Bertsch. He is the director of foster care at DCCH and adoptions. And you've got a very long title; it won't even fit on the screen there, Ron.
Oh, yeah, yep. Work over foster care, adoption, and the independent living program.
And Jerry Miles, who we're going to hear from here in a minute, who might be the closest thing to a saint that I've ever met. I just want to say that right off the bat, Jerry, for what we're going to find out that you and your wife have done.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
All right. So
thank you for having us.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's start with Bob. Bob is the director of DCCH. Tell us a little bit about, the adoptive services and the things that go on there, foster care at DCCH.
Sure. DCCH is a residential facility and and much more located in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. I say we're located on Orphanage Road. I think what the general public thinks of us as being an orphanage, or even very least just thinking of our residential treatment program. However, since 1999, we have had a world-class foster care and adoptive program headed up by this gentleman, Ron Bertsch. We're very proud of that. And again, we just recently celebrated our 150th adoption. We've served many children from the state of Kentucky throughout the years who need a temporary placement or who actually need a long-term placement as well.
And it's always just a great moment when someone from the school there, if you want to call, refer to it as that, is finally placed with a loving family.
It certainly is. I mean, it's to see a child come into our system a lot of times with no belongings and no hope, and to finally make that connection further down the line with a forever family. It's just something that sometimes is hard to describe with words. I think Ron would back me up on that.
I was over there one time, and I was visiting another one of the children who was quite the radio enthusiast and has since been placed with a home, which was very nice. He did a little radio show there every day at DCCH, and you guys called me up, and that's how I kind of got involved with you guys. I surprised him as a special guest because he listened to our show every morning, and he was doing the radio show from your office, I believe.
Exactly.
So I was over there to see him another time. And there was a young man they had just brought in, had taken him out of whatever mess he was in his life before. And he was the first day of a new life there. And he was just sitting in a chair playing an Xbox or video game up on the TV. And I thought, man, that guy, what has he been through? And now this is the first step of a much better life for him. And that's what DCCH does.
For sure. I say this all the time, but it's easy to get emotional whiplash working here because you see these kids come in with such horrific stories. You really see the worst that people can be to each other. And yet in working here, you get to see people like Jerry and his family who take these kids in under their wings, give them hope, give them life, and you get to see the absolute best in humanity. So it's just a really amazing thing that goes on here. I do want to point out, Dave, that while a number of our kids transition to our foster homes here from our residential program, we have about between 35 and 40 kids that live here. A lot of our kids that we've served over the years in this residential program actually do not live on DCCH property. They are referred by the state, and Ron and his crew actually take the referrals and assign a case manager and provide the services to that child, hook them up with an appropriate family. One of the most important things that Ron and his team does is to recruit foster parents, people who are willing to open their hearts and open their homes to these kids so that we have a suitable place to send them.
Sure. And Ron, if you could tell us a little bit about just some adoption statistics that, because people, I mean, if you're not involved, you're really not going to probably pay attention to these types of things, but you can shed a little bit of light on the adoption statistics and the placements in the kids and the numbers, which are staggering.
Yeah, it really is staggering when you think about it. On a national level, there's nearly 400,000 children that are in foster care. About a fourth of the children come in are going to need an adoptive family, meaning 3/4 of these kids may be able to return back to birth family or find a grandparent or another relative. So that's wonderful. And we do celebrate, and part of our job is to help kids, go back home. And that's our first priority. But when it can't happen safely, we're desperate to look for great adoptive families like Jerry and Jenny and folks like them that can help us. But in Kentucky, there's nearly 10,000 kids in the system, so right now we're looking. Just last month, for example, I had 165 children that were referred for foster care placement. There's no way I have the resources. We don't have enough families to serve 165 kids. Thank God there are other agencies all across the state that help us do that. Mm-hmm. And you add the Cincinnati market, they're like triple the numbers that we see here in Northern Kentucky. So there's such a need across the whole region, across the whole country for foster and adoptive families.
Absolutely. Well, it's a good thing that you have those other agencies, Ron, and it's also good that we have people like Jerry and his wife, and Jerry Miles from Independence, Kentucky. I'm to understand that you have adopted 8 total children, 2 of them from DCCH. Is this correct?
Yeah, 3 of them from DCCH, but 1 came prior to us being licensed with them.
Okay.
An agency. He was in care at their facility, and we had adopted him, and we just seen DCCH done such a nice job in this boy being ready to be entered into a family when he came from such a traumatic past. These kids are collateral damage to parents that's made bad choices, and we make a difference wherever we can. They need love. Mm-hmm. They really don't know what love is. They think it's everything you get, but love is really something you give. And, it's an action, it's a behavior, it's the way you treat people. And they're just used to the receiving, and they have to receive it and see it to be able to mimic it and make it a part of their lives. And that's our goal, because they feel rejected, and they've been rejected, and everybody's desire in life is to be accepted. Mm-hmm. And these kids just have such a need to be accepted and to be a part of a family. That's what they want.
For sure.
For sure. In the situations that they're in.
Ron, I bet you wish you had about a dozen or 2 more, couple dozen, I should say, Jerry's there.
Yeah, we've joked about that and said, wish we could clone Jerry and Jenny to play so many. And what's unique is that Jerry and Jenny, there's a lot of people that maybe would come and say, hey, we'll adopt a little child or a baby. Jerry and Jenny, took in kids that are 16, 17 years old and helped us. That was their most recent placement, was the big brother to one of the boys that they adopted. And they realized that, this young man's older brother was ready to turn 18 here not too long away, and they opened their doors to him. That was their most recent one, and it just touched my heart tremendously.
That's amazing. And you get them, on the path. And I was going to say, Jerry, you and your wife there, so how many kids do you have right now that are living in your house that you've adopted?
There's 5 at the home right now.
Mm-hmm. 5 of them.
Donald is the most recent one, and he graduated last year and is working at Amazon and doing real well. He's been a blessing to the family, and he was a big boy, and people were scared to adopt him and bring him into their family, because you got a boy that's 6'5" and 230 pounds.
Wow.
So it would be intimidating, to say the least, but he's done real well.
How long does it take them to warm up to you as a family? I imagine, just walk us through the process of once you've identified a young man or lady that you're going to, I guess you foster them first, and then it moves on to the adoption phase.
Yeah. It's different. A younger child doesn't have the level of understanding that an older child does. And you know, we've had kids, you know, they've been pushed around so much that they, it's tough to say without telling stories, but so I'll just tell one. We had one boy that just would have fits every day. Every day he had his bags packed and was ready to leave because he had been bounced around from several different families, and nobody wanted him, was his mind, and nobody stuck out long enough to really make him feel accepted and make him feel like he was someone. And he's doing real well now. We got him when he was 10, and he's an older boy now. But he actually left and walked up the street with his bags packed and was ready to leave. And yeah, so we went through a lot with him. But he's just a loving, dear boy now, and he's a junior in high school and doing real well.
What do